I was part of a team of underground bioengineers working in the study of cellular regeneration. Our pride, ambition, and ego has been silenced forever. That morning I parked my car at the lot and walked down the forest path that would lead to a hidden research facility, where we conducted unsanctioned experiments on less than willing test subjects. It was not the most ethical or legal work, but when I say that it paid damn good money, I mean it. This time we had no client, so we decided that we were going to take all of our research and equipment and finally unlock the secrets of creating a biologically superior human being. Bigger muscles, faster regeneration resistance to all pestilence, and even a bigger heart for increased stamina. We were idiots back then. We looked like a bunch of teenagers talking about get-rich-quick schemes and how we were going to take over the world. I never expected that it would end in one of the most traumatic and horrifying ways possible. By the time I entered the research facility, my colleagues were already waiting for me. "Anderson, would you like a coffee before we start this momentous day?" said Carson. "Oh, no thanks. I'd like to get started on this as quickly as possible." I was so enthusiastic about starting this project that I basically woke up as early as possible, wolfed down a breakfast, and made my way there. "So how long do you think it will take before these new humans are ready?" I asked, knowing that making a new human from scratch could take months. "Well, let's not rush this. We can't afford to make any mistakes." We made our way to the birthing pods. The whole room looked like something you would see out of a sci-fi movie. "We have to begin the alpha stage. It's going to take a while, but once we do this, everyone will know that we are the greatest bioengineers on the planet." I investigated the birthing pods and the fetus-like entities within them. Life is truly sacred and amazing, isn't it? Yeah, you said it. It was going to be a while before these new batch of superhumans were ready to be presented to the world. So I went about my usual task until then. I had to test new pharmaceutical drugs on some prisoners we got from third world countries. It's things like this that make me wonder if what happened was coming to us this whole time. Like, we actually deserved it. After another long day of work, we began to head home. When I got home, I went inside and got ready for bed. I laid there wondering if the world would be ready for us to present a new evolution of human beings. Would they be happy or scared? I knew that I couldn't think about this too much, or I would never get any sleep. So I put it all in the back of my mind and closed my eyes. Things were pretty normal around the facility over the next 3 weeks of our day-to-day work. We eagerly watched our birthing pods create new superhumans when a strange anomaly occurred. It appears that we have a bit of an abnormality, Anderson." I turned to Ruckus, another scientist who was working on the same project. "What is it?" I asked, hoping that nothing was too wrong. It seems as though when we augmented the DNA for faster cellular regeneration, it somehow turned the skin amphibious in a way." I was surprised at this. "You mean like slimy and gray? Can it be reversed?" He looked to his clipboard. Maybe. But it has to be soon, because their birth is almost at hand." When I heard this, I got pretty excited. "Well then, let's go." I was interrupted by a crashing sound of glass. What was that? The alarm went off shortly after, and the containment protocols sealed the doors. "What's happening?" "Probably just some..." He was interrupted by a scream coming from the birthing chambers. We ran over there as fast as we could, and from the other side of the glass, we saw them. The humans that we were making had busted out of their pods. One of my colleagues was on the other side, surrounded by them. They were supposed to be human, but their gray, slimy skin mixed with the fact that they had no eyes, made them anything but. There were 3 of them. They all surrounded the man on the other side. They pounced on him, and what they did to him was so horrific, I couldn't even begin to describe it. They practically tore him apart. "Run! Run!" I yelled, as we turned and made a dash for the exit. I didn't look back, but I could hear those things in the ventilation shaft now. "Oh my God!" I could hear Rukus panicking behind me. The others tried to make a break for the emergency exit, but one of those monsters had jumped out of the shaft and stood between the panicked men and women in lab coats and the exit to the outside world. It then attacked one of the scientists in front of me. I didn't even notice that somehow its nails were longer than usual. They looked more like claws and could slice open metal. I dread to think what would happen if they made contact with human flesh. I turned around and tried to run as fast as possible to hide somewhere, while that thing was busy attacking our friends. I could still hear the ones in the ventilation shaft. "Weapons. The weapons cache is just up ahead." We had a few guns stored in case we would have to defend the facility from looters or anyone else who found out about this place. We could hear the screams echo through the hallway door. Carson was on the other side with a shotgun. "Wait, it's us!" I yelled, so he wouldn't fire on us or grab the attention of those things. "We need to get the hell out of here," he said, as Rukus remembered to close the door behind us. "What are we going to do?" I asked, unsure of our next move. The 3 of us thought for a moment, trying to drown out the sounds of our dying colleagues. "All right. We know that those things don't have eyes, right?" That was true, which meant their hearing was probably enhanced, and their sense of smell as well. "So we can't go to the emergency exit because it's slick with bodies and—" Rukus couldn't bring himself to finish the sentence. "Look, if we get to the main control room, we can disable the security protocols and walk right out the front entrance." It was the closest thing to a plan we had. Carson took the shotgun. Me and Rukus grabbed pistols. "All right, let's try not to use these too much. The noise may attract all of them. If we keep a low profile, we may be able to sneak past them." At that exact moment, the power went out, causing the auxiliary power to kick on. "No," I whispered, as the fluorescent halls were now dimly lit, with a grayish-blue light barely shining off the metallic walls. "Come on, let's go." We walked slowly down the eerie halls. The lights illuminated the red stains on the metal walls. I didn't need to ask where they came from, and I didn't want to think about it anymore. We walked slowly, so slowly I could hear all of our hearts beating, and I wondered if they would hear it too. We stopped when we heard the shrieking from down the hall. It was one of those monsters. We stopped dead in our tracks while it sniffed the air. We thought our sweat would give us away, but it simply moved down the hallway. These hallways used to be so lively with experiments and machines whirring and buzzing. Now the air was filled with shrieks and screams of terror. It suddenly became dead silent, except for our heartbeats and the faint sound of our footsteps. The ventilation shaft was knocked out, and there was a body over the control panel. "There. We can disable the security and get the hell out of here." Before we could turn on the power, one of the monsters came through the ventilation shaft. Even though it didn't have any eyes, it seemed to be looking right at us. We had no choice but to ready our weapons, and it just shrieked as it pounced on us. We opened fire. I can still hear the gunfire in my ears today. I swear, I almost went deaf from it. As soon as the creature fell, we overrode the security and got the power back on. That's when we heard it. Not the sound of the power coming back on, but a snapping, crackling, like a campfire. The creature was regenerating its skin, reconstructing itself, as it got back up. We heard shrieking as more of them were attracted to the gunfire. Carson looked at us, and even though the fear had muffled my hearing, I could see him mouth the word, live. He ran down the hallway going opposite the entrance, banging his rifle against the wall, creating a loud noise that drew the creatures right to him. Me and Rukus weren't going to let our friend's sacrifice go to waste. As soon as the monster started following him, we ran to the exit, and the banging stopped. They had caught up with him. We could see the entrance, but when we were almost there, one of the monsters leapt from the ceiling. It was crawling like an animal and ambushed Rukus. I faced him, and could see the monster began to dig its claws into Rukus's chest.
Run! Or help me, don't just stand!
He was interrupted. When blood gushed from his mouth, I made the choice to run. I reached the entrance, and I didn't look back as I made it to the parking lot. I was scared shitless, out of breath and tired, but I made it. I got in my car and headed for home. What am I gonna do? Warn people? Warn the authorities? Maybe ask to mobilize the military? All these things came to a halt when I got to my house and remembered something. Something that still haunts me to this day. I never closed the entrance, and I never sealed the facility when I escaped. I hope those things are allergic to sunlight.